Okay, Joy McDowell. Joy is also a member of the Lane Literary Guild, and that is where I met her. I don't know Joy well yet, but I look forward to rectifying that in the near future. I really enjoy her unique style of poetry and its brash, unapologetic nature. She speaks to the trials and joys of ordinary people and reflects dignity in her characters, no matter what their situation in life is. And here's Joy's bio from the poster. Joy McDowell is a graduate of the University of Oregon. Her short stories, essays, and poems have been published in Texas, New York, and Seattle. In 2010, one of her poems won an Editor's Choice Award in the anthology New Poets of the American West. In 2012, the National Federation of State Poetry Societies awarded her a first in the American Heritage category and a second for her entry in the Donald R. Stodghill Memorial Contest. Joy has always had an interest in recording the voices and experiences of working people who use their hands to earn a living. She also addresses vernacular and surreal landscapes in her work. Her poem, Hell House, found a home in the first issue of Fault Lines, Poems for People, 2012. Her free verse poem, White Birds, won first place in the Oregon State Poetry Association contest and was later published in the book Walking Bridges Using Poetry as a Compass. Her latest chapbook is titled Diesel Horse and includes poems describing labor in the fields of logging, fishing, oyster farming, cosmetic sales, and slaughterhouses. When she isn't writing, Joy enjoys watching and painting burns. Joy McDowell.
Well, thank you. As any of you who know me know, I was born to the podium. And as a little enticement to come to my readings, I always wear some of my traffic pylon clothing. And that includes my special poetry shoes. And if you have not seen them, make an effort. They're handmade and they're out of Texas. And you can always go home and tell the folks back there that if you didn't like my verse, at least you were entertained by my attire. Tonight's a special night for me. One of my childhood schoolmates showed up tonight to hear me read, and I don't believe I've seen Bill in 49 years. So, thanks for coming, Bill. And the first poem that I'm going to read is a little bit of an incantation style, but it's a poem that I think reminds me as a poet to be humble. We stand at the podium and we, on our soapboxes, and we talk, but sometimes we need, or at least I do, to remember my humility. An explanation. What do I know about affection or grief? An explanation for volcanic eruptions and earthquakes beneath crowded cities. What do I know of the godless who celebrate their freedom from superstition and prayer, while science seeks answers another step? What do I know about two-sided coins, daggers aimed at Caesar, flocks led astray by caustic lies thick as cowshed mud? What do I know about subatomic particles drilling into Venus or Mars, even this orb where monkeys and men poison their grass? What do I know about the cysts and hollows of my own heart, illusions and deceptions folded into two hemispheres of a ravenous brain? What do I know about words failing to tell an accurate story, propping up a flawed hero, or revealing a horn-ribbed devil? What do I know when rabbi and priest corrupt their vows and trash men carry off a shrieking maiden? What do I know when it's 2 a.m. and sleep idles miles away, but reading Ulysses is pure torture? What do I know of last chapters and resurrection, faith in fetishes, and curses of the hooded angry. What do I know when the flame of a New Year's candle suffocates in a puddle of its own soft tallow? And perhaps in echo as an answer, the short one. You might like to know that over in Africa, they have a beetle that spends its whole life fooling with cow flop. The dung beetle positions itself near piles of fresh shit. Using its back feet, it carves off a ball of whatever the cow, rhino, or elephant left behind. Then putting its ass high in the air, the beetle rolls that dung ball back home like it was a nugget of 49er gold. Something about making the best of our lives. And this poem was written and will be read in honor of my husband's parents. His brother is also here. It's called Migration. When his mother's legs fail and she falls, just like television ads shout about, she loses more than a night on the bathroom floor. She has lost her mind, a bird reaching for the horizon, fleeing at a speed known only to falcons. The ambulance comes and takes her life away. I gather her pajamas, the toothbrush she may not remember, and imagine birds winging south or north, flying shotgun for her migration toward the safe island where her husband waits, healed of his broken hip and the airless stratosphere of dementia, a lad in cap and aviator goggles at the stick of his damaged warplane, his crew alive and happy, slapping their pilot on the back for a better than average crash landing. This next poem I wrote and I read as a bit of a nudge that our society has lost its civility. People of all ages need to remember our civility, our courtesy, and so this was written. It's called Cutting Up Animals. The busy back hall of the courthouse should be safe, but blood stains my desktop. Propped against my phone, a pair of amputated mountain beaver ears. Bounty proof, agency trophies. The furry brown rodent parts rest inches from timesheets documenting hours of in-home care. Just teasing, they say, the forester and state biologist who know that I watch birds and write environmental letters. The biologist stacks his stretched bobcat pelts outside my office door in the shared back hall. What remains of the cats leans against green vinyl chairs. My health department corridor is a place where teenage girls sit and wait in those vinyl chairs for pelvic exams before receiving birth control pills. Girls tell the nurse that boys and men don't like the feel of free rainbow-colored condoms. I mention the amputated ears to a retired state official. The biologist has moved up the coast. The forester avoids my door. In second grade, Mother told me that boys who twisted my arm actually liked me. I thought they were bullies. I wasn't scared of those mean boys then, and I'm not scared of them now. So, if you have a little girl out there and she comes home and says, some mean boy hurt her, please listen and tell her it's bullying. It's not somebody liking you. Our times have changed. My book, Diesel Horse, with the old truck on the cover, contains stories and voices of blue-collar workers who I happen to believe are the backbone of America. But times have changed. We have a tough economy, and as a poet, my sensibilities direct me to listen to other voices. And this is a new voice I'm hearing. This is called Friday. Been waiting to say it all week. Buzz off. Quit ad-libbing in my ear. When I told the story of the earthworm that flew through the air and got stuck to my eyeglasses in fierce wind and rain, you frowned and changed the subject, wanting to make me something I ain't never gonna be. Bleached underwear always itches me into a rash. I'll just pack up the sign I'm flying and slip through a slot canyon on my way back to where the hell it was I began in comfort and peace. You won't be there, and that's okie dokie by me. Here in the alley, we be having a beer with God. Him and his dog stop by most Fridays if it's dry. Johnny Be Good tells his tale about a hog that ate a man, and Stella snorts like a car backfiring. It's all in fun. We hear your traffic colliding and cussing. Still, we don't much care, being wastrels in the bigger is better birth order of things. We stroke our dogs and stray cats to sleep. A black tom twitches and quivers, escaping a snarling pit bull. God yawns and says he needs to stop in at a sex change operation. We all stand as he leaves. Don't say we ain't got manners. This next poem is inspired by my muse who lives on the Oregon coast where I lived for many years. And her family has provided so much material for me, and I will never run out. Those of you who know. Excuse me. And this is called Pirate. She slipped the news in between her daughter's separation and the freezing weather. How her ex-husband, who left her with 4 kids, has voice box cancer. 50 years of snooze and the whiskey, you know. He never paid a dime in child support or bought her groceries. He had better places for his salmon money. The bastard deserves to die in screaming agony, but he'll survive. She said he asked if she'd care for him. She will. She's an angel. Any man who fishes his boat in the Pacific, a place where his brother and 3 nephews went down in over 100 fathoms, well, that man is not easy to kill. Cancer will have to match his poker skills, that uncanny way he has of talking a winner out of whatever a poor fellow has to offer. He's slick, a chip off the family block, a credit to legions of pirates in harbor cafes. He even tried Pine Forest, anywhere with a bar and card players. He was drunk when he crashed his car, yet crawled up a steep bank on that snowy mountain pass in Montana, his ankle broken to the point that surgery and medical know-how couldn't get the thing to heal. So he said, cut it off. The prosthesis the VA gave him wasn't dependable on a wet boat deck, so he made his own wooden leg. Not all peg legs are characters in books. Some drive used Cadillacs with crab pots and 1 dress shoe in the back window, and pontificate about the cost of living as if they were ever an honest-to-God provider. Pirates make you watch them, even if you don't want to. They'll cut cards for title to a boat, but they have little respect for death or taxes. This poem is also in what we call the incantation style, and it's my belated Valentine to all of my old friends out there, the new ones I may make this evening, and to thank all of you for the precious time that you have given up to come give us a listen. It's called Nebulous Identity. You were bigger, you were older, you were lonely, you were popular. You are confident, you are calm, you are an actor, you are a star. You are on fire, you are underwater. You are made of neon, you are written in stone. You are fragile, you are ancient. You are welded steel, you are hammered copper. You are wearing feathers, You were wearing nothing at all. You were here for one day. You were camped beside a river. You were laughter. You were weeping. You were a green sprout in soil. You were ripe fruit on a platter. You were the puff of air that moves clouds. You were the smell of lightning. And some of you may know that there's a group of poets that get together Thursday mornings out at a place called Teresa's. Little plug wherever you are out there. The manager, Donna Carboni in the back row, is the manager of Teresa's out in the Pape building. And we get together with prompts and we do spontaneous writing. And one day the prompt was Men with Tools. And this is the poem I wrote. From this broken arrowhead I could make a weapon, not sharp enough to slice the hide of a mammoth, but straight enough to spear a bird. With the meat of the bird I could lure a monkey to my hidden snare, and with monkey hands I could scare the village chief into allowing me access to the hot pool where important topics are discussed. And I could make a tiny corporation to manage bones traded between meat eaters. With my corporation, I would control the chief, his tribe, and all the hunters. I'd build my own hot pool beneath a steaming volcano and chew on mammoth meat left outside my oversized cave door. This poem is for all of the families, and I know you're out there, who must contend with emotional and mental issues in your midst. And we love them. God love them. I say we need to learn to smile when we can. This is called Secret Ingredients. My bipolar brother-in-law arrives in good voice, rolling in high gear, examining the contents of my pantry, then stacking cans on my counter. His hand triumphantly brings out my husband's secret stash of Spam. He reads aloud ingredients, implies we are pedestrian eaters. I sip wine and tell him it's canned unicorn meat. But his hands continue searching and exploring. Eventually I shout, "Stop unloading that food sack I have packed for the food drive." I wait for him to dissect and rate the value of the tuna fish, peanut butter, and chili that I selected for their protein content. But he doesn't need to push anymore. He's fat and fed because he has already picked and prodded enough to get me visibly undone. It has only been 12 hours into a 5-day visit. But the unicorn horn spiked into his massive brain has him on key, talking, critiquing, quoting, advising, addressing, and condemning, snickering to his secret snob melody. He chats on about unicorns and the historical basis for the myth, jazz bands, plant scientists, and the important politician he just met at a cocktail party in Honduras. He reports that people at the party thought he was a genius. I pour myself a second glass of wine while he juggles mandarin oranges, the ones I put out in a ceramic bowl. He loses an orange beneath the sofa and says, "Oh well." He suggests I should try it. The juggling is good for the nerves. I ask if he has brought along his medication, but he brushes me off and announces he stopped taking that stuff 2 months ago, claiming both he and his doctor know he has no symptoms of mania. And then he continues talking at me as I cross the kitchen, pass through the dining room, aiming for my bedroom, and then the bathroom. I lock the last door. And if you're familiar with my work, you also know that I generally have at least one protest poem. in the lot, and now I am grandmother to 5 grandchildren. The first 3 were boys, and now I have twin granddaughters who are coming up on 1 year old. So I'm shopping in different parts of the department and toy stores. And by the way, diapering them is a big surprise when you get girls after 3 boys. This poem is called Behind the Cloud. A factory cranks out Christmas dolls that have periods, wear tiny tampons, and say remarkable things to their jelly donut owners. Things like, I want liposuction. Botox, please. And make the implants a double 44D with a perky attitude. On the final conveyor belt, the dolls earn their excessively long eyelashes and Julia Roberts lips just before receiving miniskirts, wrapped bound legs, slender as bird bills, legs that wear sky-high, torturous Italian handmade heels. Goodbye, my beauties, the factory supervisor says to Santa's order. Go forth and be the golden calf. The people will worship at the altar of your plastic surgeon and offer up their 401k cash. The dolls hold suspiciously still on the journey in Santa's sleigh. Only when they reach the mouths of 10 million chimneys do they drop their frilly drawers and begin to bleed non-staining, washable red fluid. In truth, the fake blood has been approved by the EPA, USDA, and FDA as safe for human consumption. This poem I have written and rewritten probably 50 to 75 times. It was written for my tennis partner, who I knew for maybe 10 or 15 years, and it's called Red Swan. Madness plays tennis, and addiction dresses well. Alcoholism finds the letters when 2 friends sleep with her husband. She lives in a jungle of baubles and pills. Back to Texas they go, but betrayal follows, and heroin takes over. Not even a second husband who has a gun will fix it. The gun will eventually kill her. She once told me she sat on the rocky bluff beside the sea, longing for a clear answer. I told her to watch sea palms, the way they fold themselves down beneath the surging ocean. Their tasseled heads pop back up when the worst is over, ready to keep doing the same each time the ocean breeze and tide scours rocks and sloping beaches. She was a beauty, tall and red, an actress in wardrobe hiding. The August ocean failed her, my poem's not quite enough. In spring, the addled red swan forgot that she had 2 wings. And a little pick-me-up. This is called Church Doings. She has a teal green tickle and a new dress sewing machine. This much her mama tells him. People murmur when they waltz in for Sunday service together, sit front row, an open couple. Tanya Faye wears her amazing teal hat with the temptress peacock feather dangling over the aisle behind. During the benediction, Carl Ray slips out his pocket knife and nips off that jigging colored eye. That kid is 9. The last 2 poems I want to read are from the chapbooks Diesel Horse and Waltzing the Dragon. The one I'm going to read from Waltzing the Dragon is called Sweet Stink. Caulks, or corks, are work boots worn by men in need of steady footing. Stores post signs warning against wearing caulk boots inside. But at the back door of the Eagle's Tavern, men with sweat, suspenders, spike boots, and Friday paychecks are welcome. Men who don't mind the sweet stink of beer, loud conversation, and ruined floors. While Mother collects her pills at the next door pharmacy, I wait in our car beside the tavern. I study the oiled black floor, its holes punched by legions of work boots. Mother is late. I walk past the tavern's rear door, around the corner to Main Street, and pause at the front window. Then I hurry back to where my younger sister is scolding. Only harlots and fallen women visit a tavern. The open door smell is foul, infected with smoke and stale beer. Brick walls in the back alley are limey green, where dogs and men pee. A man steps from the tavern door and spits tobacco toward the gutter. The air inside looks blue. Filthy cigarettes is what Grandma calls them. I stare at the breathing holes in the tavern's wood floor. Pores where spiked boots pierce the sensitive skin of all that is proper and good. One day I will step inside a forbidden tavern, but not this one. And on a whim, the last poem I want to read is called Tsunami Trail, and it's in honor of this place that we all come and read and feel so welcome. So thank you, Scott, wherever you are. And this poem was written over 20 years ago, before the world, via media, really understood what tsunamis are and what can happen. Tsunami Trail. The professor says it in the community lecture, says we must all be prepared. After the earthquake, a tsunami may come. His slide projector shows ocean water rising to obliterate the beach. The foredune won't stop it, and geologic history shows seawater may cross the estuary to flood the place we live. My husband and I feel a bit silly. We chop a trail to the ridgetop above our house. Our machetes clear sword ferns and huckleberry vines from the exit route. Our son lives inland, far from the reach of surging disaster. He's a jet pilot now. After a serious coastal shaker, he says he'll do a flyover to watch for our signal on the crest of the hill. His dad wants him to drop a bottle of beer. And I'll need a box of vanilla wafers. And if he doesn't see our signal fire, he should drink the beer and eat the cookies.
That was a very dynamic performance. Thank you so much. Joy McDowell, we've got it. Okay, we'll take a quick 10-minute break and then come back and hear John.